You know, every once in a while you watch a movie and you just can't quite understand how it was so good? That's Clue. Straight off the bat, I am ashamed to say that I hadn't watched this movie until very recently. And it's very clear to me that Clue perfected the murder mystery genre back in '85, and it's never quite peaked to that level since then. So this is just why Clue is a perfect movie and perfected the murder mystery. I've known about Clue for some time. You know, you see it popping up a lot of the time, you see photos to it and memes, and I've never given it the time that it deserves, and I mean deserves. Given that the game was based on the board game, I was very skeptical, and that's just because I couldn't quite fathom how a board game turned to a movie could be good. You know, you think they're grasping at straws, just trying to bank in on a name, but this is '85. That wasn't quite what they were doing at that point. There were a lot of good movies coming out then, which just brought their own flair to them. This movie at no point felt like it was banking in on Clue, instead using the premise to build on it and create one of the funniest comedies I have ever watched. I had an unbelievably good time in Clue. I've rewatched it since I first seen it a couple of times now, and it just gets funnier, even when you know the lines are coming. So what makes Clue so fucking good? There's a lot of moving parts here, and it's clear when you watch this movie and just sit back that all of these moving pieces just came together beautifully. From the direction to the writing, to the cinematography, the set layout, and casting and the actors, because I couldn't imagine any part of this movie being different. And going a step further, it perfected the alternate ending. Like, to a T. There's a big cast in this movie. I'll show them on screen now, but I'm not going to go through them all by names. You'll recognise a number of these people from various places, but let's just throw out a blanket statement right now and say that they all were fucking incredible in this movie. All of them, without a doubt. And not only were they all fantastic individually, but nobody took the spotlight away from somebody else.
Just a moment, please. Very well, sir. Would you care to come in?
It didn't feel like anyone was getting more focus or attention than another character in this movie, which is very impressive when you've got a lot of big names in the movie to try and juggle. These are people you recognise now, they were equally big names then. Tim Curry is very much the lead in this movie, however. He doesn't take away from anyone else, but he is the lead in the sense that he is constantly driving the movie forward.
That's right! And we couldn't get in. So we went back to the open cupboard, got the gun, and shot the door open. Bang!
So if you've not seen Clue, very simple premise. You have the characters from the board game are all invited to a house, and it turns out they've all been blackmailed for something. So that is why they accept these invitations, to find out who it is that's blackmailing them and try and get out of that arrangement, so to speak. Whilst they are all here, there are a few murders that take place, and even the murders aren't like gruesome, horrific murders. You just need to know that someone has died in a very specific way, and when these murders take place, of course everyone turns against each other and is skeptical of everybody. At the same time, they have to work together.
Wait a minute. Suppose that one of us is the murderer. If we split up into pairs, whichever one of us is left with the killer might get killed.
Then we would have discovered who the murderer is.
So there's that very fine balance between they're all enemies, however they have to work together to get through this night and work out who done the killings. And the comedy is in spades in this movie.
I suggest we take the cook's body into the study. Why? I'm the butler. I like to keep the kitchen tidy.
It came out in the 80s, so you know they've got that slapstick humour. And I think watching this movie made me realise why the slapstick works in this movie, whereas I get quite bored of it in modern movies. Clue doesn't miss a beat when there's a slapstick joke. You know, someone falls over, someone gets hit with something. These things happen quite a lot in the movie, but at no point does it take a second to just focus in on that, maybe see someone's reaction to it, and then pick up the dialogue again. It happens and then immediately the characters are up and running again. It keeps the pace going. You know, it doesn't let you pause for a minute, laugh at the person that fell over in a silly way, and then get back into it.
Sorry, cancer!
I'll catch you. Fall into my arms. Sorry.
You've got blood on your hands.
There are clear moments where characters will slip and fall, it is hilarious, and then a second later, they're back up and running as though they didn't fall. There's no joke to be made there. That was the joke.
I'm not shouting! All right, I am. I'm shouting, I'm shouting, I'm shouting!
So once all the cast are here, various people are turning up on the doorstep. You've got the telegram, you get somebody whose car broke down and rocked up to the house, and the police get here. All I'll say is the cast of the movie, like the main ones from the board game, they're what's left. Put it that way. And at no point does this movie slow down its pace. Tim Curry, very literally, only gets faster throughout the movie. By the end, he is sprinting around halls telling you exactly what's happened, and you're with him every moment of the way.
We locked him in the library. We forgot the cupboard with the weapons was now unlocked. Then we split up again. And the murderers...
I would follow you around a mansion any day, Tim Curry. Especially like this. It seems like they were very conscious of the fact that this was based on the board game, and so they couldn't take it 100% seriously. They've taken it seriously in the sense that they've made a fantastic movie out of it, but not in the way that it is a serious murder and it is all gritty, thriller and nothing else to it. The people dying are kind of played off as jokes for the most part, and they all work.
She's not here. I didn't do it! Somebody help me, please. Somebody help me, please!
You've got all the iconic weapons as well. Each of the cast has delivered a weapon, which is part of the arrangements when they came to the house. You know, you've got the noose, the gun, the candlestick. All those are here. Even the house's setup was incredibly impressive. Because in the main hall, it's quite clear that the squares are there kind of reminiscing the board. And even the secret rooms that they use in the movie are identical to the secret rooms in the game. You know, they lead to the same rooms.
Looks like a secret passage.
Oh, God.
So there's a great focus where they've not just used the name and created a movie, they've put in a bit of attention, they've put in a bit of research to the board game to bring it to real life.
Oh! Look! I can't believe it. I wonder where this one goes.
Well, let's find out.
One that you love, like to be a dream, sweetheart. Hello, hello again. Shaboom and hope we'll meet again.
Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you who done it, because what would be the point in that? Because if you've seen the movie, you know. And if you've not seen the movie, I'm not taking that away from you. But trust me, even when you know who's done it, you still enjoy the movie. Like, on the rewatches for myself, it doesn't matter that I knew how it was going to end. Those moment-to-moment beats are fantastically hilarious.
Bon, d'accord. But it is dark upstairs and I am frightened of the dark. Will anyone go with me?
I will.
I will.
No, thank you.
The movie does satirise murder mysteries and even 80s American politics versus like communism and capitalism and things like that. There's a lot of very clever jokes in here.
Why is J. Edgar Hoover on your phone? I didn't know. He's on everybody else's. Why shouldn't he be on mine?
It's got that kind of humour that Airplane has. You know, it's just so stupid that it works.
Wadsworth, am I right in thinking there is nobody else in this house? No. Then there is someone else in this house.
No, sorry. I said no, meaning yes.
No meaning yes? Look, I want a straight answer. Is there someone else or isn't there? Yes or no?
No.
You know when it's just so stupid but played very seriously? That works so well there, and it works again here, given that the stakes are pretty damn high. I'm honestly amazed I hadn't seen this, and what's even worse is, since I watched it, I've been telling everybody to go and watch it, and the majority of the responses are people going, yeah, I've tried to watch it years ago. Go back to it. Please go back to this movie and just give it a once through. And the costume design here for the main cast is great because you've got all the iconic names and what they're wearing and the cars they arrived in matches the personas. So they've all been given a little bit of a backstory. They look like the characters you would imagine them to be. And as for Yvette the maid,
I've been shot!
Come out! The door is open!
the costume department nailed it. They fucking nailed it on Yvette there. Good on you. That was perfect. Good casting.
Order, tape recordings are not admissible evidence.
And this movie goes a step further and even just perfected alternative endings. A murder mystery should be the ideal way to use an alternative ending. You know, they come in a number of different ways and for a few different reasons. In a lot of modern movies as well, you know, test screenings don't quite enjoy the ending. It might be too dark or too nice, so they go back and they make an alternative ending that is kind of the flip of it. You know, they don't want to end a movie too darkly, so they add a bit of light to it. Get Out is a great example, where it was actually the police that rocked up at the end.
Show me your hands!
And it was a very sinister moment. He was in prison. So they flipped it. They put it in that it was his friend from the TSA arrived and it got big cheers. And when it comes to these changes, it can be from the director themselves or the producers or the people that are putting the money into the movie. You know, it's too risky ending it in a certain way. What Clue done instead? It's a murder mystery. So the movie ends 3 different times, each with a different killer involved. And going a step further, the other like 80 minutes of the movie you've watched reasonably could have been one of the other 3 killers. They've set it up so well. There was supposed to be a 4th alternative ending where it was actually the butler that did it and just took them all out, but that never came to light. There's stories online with the actors in interviews mentioning their time filming it. You know, there's dogs outside and that's why nobody can leave.
You can't get out, Lesley. Why not? It's only glass.
And they recall a moment of filming a scene around the dogs. Little snippets here and there. Their memory of that 4th edit does seem a little bit hazy when you read some of the interviews, which is only fair. It was like 35 years ago and it never actually came out in the end, so they didn't like commit to it, so fair enough. And what I think is just hilarious, and especially to do during the 80s when we do not have social media, is that when they put this movie out, they put it out to theatres with one of the 3 different endings. So you didn't know what ending you were going to get. Imagine going to this movie and then a friend goes to another theatre to watch it and you try and discuss the ending on it only to realise shit doesn't line up. Things are very different and you feel like you watched 2 very different films. That is one clever strategy that Clue used there. And theatres would actually put this out with ending A, B or C next to it so you knew which one you were going into. Maybe you wanted to watch the alternative endings. It gets a ticket price to see the last 5 to 10 minutes again. So not only was it clever to make money, it's also very clever in just creating a buzz about your movie. I had an unbelievably good time in this film, and it just nailed every aspect for me. And I can fully appreciate why it has got that cult classic status, and also I feel partly ashamed that I didn't watch it until now. This should have been higher on my list back then, and trust me when I say that now, it is right up there. Everybody in here just seems like they had the best time and a really fun experience on the movie. You know, when you read back on it and you watch them in the film, you see them talking about it. They had a time. They had a great time and experience. And when it comes to their performances, everyone understood the assignment. Be serious, but be just daft enough that it plays for a laugh in every moment it can. And they all nail it. The comedic timing in this movie, I'm not joking when I say it's perfect.
Would you like to come this way, please, sir? Frightfully drafty, these old houses.
Whether it is a quick response to something or giving just a bit of silence and leaving a beat in there before they come in with a punchline.
Don't worry, there's nothing illegal about any of this.
Are you sure?
Of course, this is America.
I see.
It's a free country, don't you know that?
I didn't know it was that free.
No joke was out of place. Like, everything in here was great and just lined up beautifully. So like, see, with all this being said, I know I've ranted a lot about Clue itself, but really, the murder mystery genre, it feels a little bit stale now. I know Glass Onions came out, the first one was a huge hit, the second one, not so much. But it's films like this that make you realise that murder mysteries can be made very well. And it's going to take a lot of work to make that happen, from, like I said, writing, directing, casting and the performance. I think injecting it with this humour just would work so well. And this movie, although it came out in '85, still holds up perfectly, and it is one that very much could be made today. Whether it would or wouldn't is a completely different story. You know, the different endings angle might not work the same now that we have Twitter, but I don't know. It could be worth a shot. But leaving an alternative ending to a murder mystery where it is possibly different options is an unbelievably novel idea. The fact that a lot of the times now when you see an alternative ending, it is one that is very binary. You know, it's like maybe a main character dies or lives. Or it might just be that the character got out of a situation and life is either a bit shit or a bit better for them. You know, look at The Descent, for example. Whether was she still down in that cave or did she actually escape for a last jump scare? That is up to you based on what ending you prefer. Whereas here, it's not binary. And you'll find that when you watch the alternative endings to kind of more modern movies, the last 80 minutes of it aren't important to tie up to that ending, specifically, if that makes sense. It's like a last minute decision by either the character or the filmmaker to make it all a hallucination or not, or the character to take one specific action at the end. You know, the other 80 minutes played out the exact same that just led to this moment, whereas here it is a murder mystery for you to work out as an audience whodunit, and they've left enough clues and breadcrumbs that there are 3 possibilities here. I cannot imagine the difficulty in writing something as good as this. If you've seen Clue, you know exactly what I'm talking about, and this isn't me just exaggerating for the sake of it. The energy that everybody brings in this movie, especially Tim Curry, I have never seen matched in any other movie.
Mr. Green, Miss Scarlet, Colonel Mustard, this chair was vacant. Anyway, we all revealed we'd all received a letter, and you'd had a letter, and you'd had a letter, and you'd had a letter.
Get out of here! The point is, blackmail.
All this came out after dinner in the study.
You're right.
You don't want to look away. You can't. The characters are moving too quickly from room to room, investigating what's happened. You do not want to miss a beat, because you know you're going to miss a fantastic joke in here. And when it comes to these alternative endings, what movie would you say has had the best alternative ending out there? Trust me, mark it as spoilers, let me know. I would love to read it. I've watched quite a few of them and then looked up more online, and there are a surprising amount of them for various reasons. Not all of them may land, granted, but there are some great ideas and some ones I would have loved to have seen. So look, with all that being said, this is just how Clue managed to perfect the alternative ending in a movie and become that cult classic. Thank you so much for watching.